It's certainly been a very, very, very cruel summer for Joe Biden. I mean, come on. It has. I mean, the guy's getting his clock cleaned in these polls we'll get to coming up here. But there is still some hope, and this just makes me laugh. But there is still some hope out there from multiple big-time media reporters that Taylor Swift is going to come in and save the day for Joe Biden. They really are still grasping at this straw. It's not going to happen. I've said this for months. There's no way that Taylor Swift is going to come in and save Joe Biden. Not in a million years. She is way too smart. She has, I believe, learned her lesson, and she is not going to hitch her wagon, her billion-dollar wagon, to this loser. She's not going to do it. So here's what's coming out on some of this. And this is from Vanity Fair, writing about this, Daily Mail, everything else. But I'll read the Vanity Fair story for you here. Two Democrats, Joe Biden insisted last week that short of the Lord Almighty telling him to drop out of the presidential race, he would stick it out and face Donald Trump in November. But Democrats are hoping he has a change of heart so that they can implement a new plan to save the party's chances, one that involves the participation of Taylor Swift and Michelle Obama. Okay, here they go. This is the big plan here. Joe Biden steps down as the nominee within the next week or so. This is, this plan that's been concocted by some bigwig Democratic advisors. Donors are on board with this, per Vanity Fair and other people. It's very Aaron Sorkin-esque. But, they have fantasies too, I guess. So Joe Biden steps down as the nominee within the next week. And with the backing of Kamala Harris, the VP, they announced the party switched to a blitz primary. Now, the notion that Kamala Harris is going to be open to an open primary is comical. She's like, you're going to give it to me and nobody else. But anyway, let's continue with this fantasy. Individuals who think they should be president have a few days to throw their respective hats into the ring, leading to, quote, a primary sprint in which the 6 or so candidates who receive the most votes from delegates pledge to run positive-only campaigns in the month leading up to the Democratic Convention, which is next month in Chicago. Each week, cultural icons like Taylor Swift, Michelle Obama, and Oprah sit down with candidates to get voters excited. Does anyone know, what's Taylor Swift's tour schedule like? Can she even, do this? What are we doing here? The nominee, chosen by delegates using ranked choice voting, is announced on the third day of the Democratic National Convention. Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton appear on stage together for the announcement. You don't want Jimmy Carter? I mean, he looks better than Joe on some days now. Jeez. Okay, the authors reportedly believe the plan would work because it would mesmerize the country, score huge donations, and position Joe Biden as a modern-day George Washington. What are we doing? What are we doing? A modern-day George Washington? He's not a modern-day George Costanza. What are you talking about here? Goodness gracious. They write, we can limp to shameful, avoidable, democracy-ending defeat, or Democrats can make this our finest hour. All right, now we get to the good part from Vanity Fair. You thought that was good. Here's the real good part. Of course, there's a few problems with this idea, not the least of which is the fact that Joe Biden remains resolute in his commitment to staying in the race. Also, a competitive race would make the positive-only rule impossible. And here's the kicker for our girl Taylor Swift. It's not clear that Taylor Swift or the former First Lady would want anything to do with any of this. Yeah, that's kind of a problem in your grand plan here. A spokesperson for Taylor Swift did not respond to Vanity Fair's request for comment. Yeah, because she's not bailing you out here. She's not bailing this guy out who is getting his clock cleaned by all the polls as of late. She's not bailing a guy out who America and the world watched on stage fumble and mumble all over himself almost 2 weeks ago. She's not doing it. Why would she? Why? I mean, I don't think that Taylor Swift is really someone who's studying the day-to-day of the political news cycle, but it appears to be like the main thing or one of the biggest things she really cares about is, of course, the issue of abortion. And that's now a state issue. It's not a federal issue. So if that's like her big thing, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but that's one of the big things that she's, kind of talked about in her limited political past, that's not even a federal issue anymore. So what's she doing? What's the purpose of her getting involved at all? And now that she has this, billionaire status, she's more famous and wealthier than she's ever been. She is now in this relationship with Travis Kelce here in Kansas City. Why would you insert yourself into this? It makes absolutely zero sense. And don't forget, the one time she did, I guess she did endorse, she had those Biden cookies, that famous picture in 2020, but that wasn't really sticking your neck out there. I mean, Joe was winning every poll from the summer all the way up to the election. That was easy. The one time she kind of put her credibility on the line is when she endorsed in the Tennessee U.S. Senate race against Marsha Blackburn, and her candidate lost by like double digits. So I don't care how big your ego is. You ultimately have to look at this and realize maybe I don't make the difference people think I do. Now, people within, the political circles will try to convince you that, you're the most important thing. You can help us save the day, but they're only looking out for themselves. They're looking out for their own candidate. They're looking out for their own future as well, their own jobs. Taylor Swift's not going to fall for that. Nor should she. She's too smart, I think, to fall for that. And I think she's matured as a person as well.
Well, you realize they don't care what Taylor Swift thinks. They care what her fans think.
Yeah.
Right? Now, obviously, they think she's going to influence them. So.
She does, but not to the point that they think she's going to.
Right.
I mean, we learn that every single time one of these folks comes out. I mean, 2016, Hillary Clinton had every single big shot Hollywood celebrity musician on her side. And how did that work out for her?
I think maybe the point I'm trying to get at is ego and narcissism drives a lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
Because they think that everybody wants to know what they think.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think Taylor realizes they're not interested in her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
In that
true.
Narcissism.
They just want her. They just want her voters.
Correct.
Theoretically.
And she knows that.
And she knows. She's got to know that. On the text line, Pete, it sounds like the Democrats have soft-pedaled Taylor Swift endorsement without her actually doing it. Yeah. And she's not going to do it. I am not a believer in her playing any role over the next 5 months in this presidential race. But they've been trotting this out there for 6 months. We first talked about this, I want to say it was January or February. They started floating out Taylor Swift as a potential endorser to bail out Pops. And it's like, guys, you're wishful thinking. Get your head out of the sand, man. It's not happening for you. And I know that some people who, don't like Joe Biden, want Donald Trump to win, are fearful of Taylor Swift. And I've said since last fall, I wouldn't be. The country's basically split. She's got a massive billion-dollar brand to protect. No one's ever gone down this road and benefited from it. No one of this size and this popularity has ever gone down this road at a time like this in American history and benefited from it. So what's the point? 913-408-7957. That is the text line and the studio line here on KCMO 95.7 FM, streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. Now, coming up, we got a response from the President of the United States, or I should say maybe his people, on the golf match. Did you hear Trump challenge him to a golf match last night? And he's giving him 10 strokes aside. What a guy. It's very nice.
Such a nice man.
10 strokes. He's getting 20 strokes. David's in Lee's Summit. He's on KCMO. Dave, what's happening, buddy?
Hey, Pete. You know what? Everybody should forget about Taylor Swift endorsing anybody. The party can get the Hawk Tui girl win.
So you want you say forget Taylor Swift. You want the Hawk Tua girl to be front and center for either political party?
The Hawk Well, she's the hottest thing on the internet right now.
Yeah, well, that is true. No one's bigger than Hawk Tuah Girl. And if I have to explain it to you, you got to go on the internet and look it up yourself. All right?
Yes.
But
have a good day, Pete.
Thank you, David and Lee Summit.
She went viral for extolling the virtues of natural lubricity, right?
Yes, that's a good way to put it, John.
Yeah, that's the educational part.
But take a listen to Hawk Tuah Girl. This is just a clip recently. She's been going viral for a video you can find on your own time on the internet. And I don't know. She doesn't sound like a Biden voter to me, but please, roll it.
Very awesome things that have changed my life so far since all this has happened. Number one, I got over my stage fright. I sang in front of 80,000 people with Zach Bryan the other night, and I cannot sing for but I did it anyway. Number two, I quit my job at the Spring Factory, and so I don't have to eat Taco Bell all the time, but I'm still going to do it anyways. Number three, I actually have to get ready more than one time out of the week now. I'm not allowed to look like Adam Sandler anymore. Well, it's not all delightful. Here are 3 things that have not been so great here lately. Number one, I have to convince my pawpaw not to shoot the paparazzi outside of our house every day because they've been camped out here for like 2 weeks. Right. Number two, stop asking me for the link in bio for my OnlyFans. I don't have an OnlyFans and there will never be an OnlyFans.
Something tells me that's Hawk Tuah Girl. Her grandpa wouldn't let her vote for Joe Biden. All right, that's what I'm hearing there on that clip. She's from like small town Tennessee. Yeah, that ain't happening. So I don't think Hawk Tuah Girl is coming to save the day for Joe Biden. Now Taylor Swift's not either, but there's even less of a chance that Hawk Tuah Girl comes out and saves the day for Joe. All right, Joe's going to be like, Hawk what? What are we hawking here? What I've been hawking Hunter around the world for the last 20 years.
Hawk 1, Hawk 2, Hawk 3.
Oh, gosh. Jonathan's in Kansas City before we get in trouble. Go, Jonathan.
Hey, Pete. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
I was on family vacation the last week and talking with family. And, I got some hardcore people on the hardcore left. And, when I was talking to them, I was talking to some more conservative people in the family. And, we were, in our conversation, we were saying, if it goes long enough, people will forget about this and move on to the next thing. What I found amazing was I have an aunt who's extremely
forget about
liberal.
What? The fact that the president can't, speak and talk and be alert? That's not going away.
Well, no, the debate performance. And I guess maybe if he minimizes his appearances enough, people forget and they move on and Trump does something or something happens in the news. What I found amazing was I have an aunt, and 20 years ago she voted for George Bush, and she says, well, I'm not even a Republican anymore, and, Biden is the only option. And I said, the only option? She's like, yeah, I could never vote for Trump. I'm like, okay, I understand your reservations, but what about third party? She's like, no, they never win. And I'm like, okay, so a guy who can't even string sentences together, doesn't know where he is, that's the only option, or it's the end of democracy, which really showed me, there is a segment of the country that's like, yes, if we have to vote for Biden, like Whoopi said, no matter what he's doing, with body parts.
It's just amazing.
Otherwise, it's the end of democracy.
It's like the end of democracy thing is so lame because, we literally all lived through 4 years of Donald Trump. We literally all lived through it. That worked, maybe, kind of, sort of, not really, but, you could try that in 16. You literally lived through it for 4 years. And for the most part, it was, it was goofy because, Trump can't get out of his own way sometimes. But, we all lived. Democracy was fine. Joe Biden was then president after he won in 2020. So, they can hang their hats in democracy all they want. But here's the thing. The debate performance is not going anywhere. It's not going to be a distant memory because here's a prime example. Tomorrow, Joe's doing a press conference. His first, as they're calling it at the White House, big boy press conference to try to prove that the debate performance was a fluke. That's what they're calling it. John Kirby, listen to this.
After that, the president will hold a press conference. I guess a big boy press conference is what we're calling it, and take some questions from y'all.
They're treating him like a toddler. He's going to do his big boy press conference.
So I guess that means no Jill at the end going, you answered all the questions.
You did a great job, Joe. You answered.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
Oh! She may do that
Everybody
privately.
in the minivan, we're going for pizza.
And if you behave and don't poop yourself, we're going to DQ after that. Let's go. Woo! Oh, my goodness. It literally is just like how I talk to my toddlers. All right, you got to put on your big girl pants. You answered all the questions. You got your ABCs. And that's what we're living through right now. It's sad. But that's why that debate performance, to Jonathan's point, is not going anywhere. Because now you got an entire summer to prove that that was a fluke. And we all know that, it might have been like worst case scenario, but for the most part, it wasn't a fluke. So Trump's up there doing a shtick last night in Florida. First time he had done a rally since the debate. And here he is challenging Joe to a little golf match. And Joe's team has responded.
I'm also officially challenging Cricket Joe to an 18-hole golf match right here. On Doral Blue Monster, considered one of the greatest tournament golf courses anywhere in the world, one of the great courses of the world. It will be among the most watched sporting events in history, maybe bigger than the Ryder Cup or even the Masters. And I will even give Joe Biden 10 strokes aside. 10 strokes. That's
10.
That means 20 strokes in case you don't play golf. I will give him 10 strokes aside, and if he wins, I will give the charity of his choice, any charity that he wants, $1 million. And I'll bet you he doesn't take the offer.
Oh, my goodness. So Team Biden responding here. And they said, Donald Trump hasn't been seen in public for 12 days. Now he's inviting fictional serial killers to dinner, teasing little Marco Rubio, praising Project 2025 architect Tom Homan, and challenging the president of the United States to golf. Well, let's be honest. It was Biden who first brought up challenging Donald Trump to golf. That's how the whole thing started. They add here, we challenge Trump to follow the law, but he breaks it. Joe Biden doesn't have time for Donald Trump's weird antics. He's busy leading America and defending the free world. Oh, my God. Talk about a group that has zero sense of humor. Like, none whatsoever. That's what I take away from that. No sense of humor to speak of. And by the way, please, Joe's leading the free world. He literally operates 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You wouldn't hire him to be a Walmart greeter at this point. I mean, you guys got to chill with that whole deal. Unbelievable.